this morning that we had a cat. Now she was being very responsible, and she took it out, and she was like cleaning the litter box and everything. And I was like, that sounds like a legit dream or prophecy. So I
That
was
is. Did you tell them? You didn't tell them that you were thinking of getting them a cat, right?
no, I didn't even tell them that, but they are the ones who've been like begging for, they're just like chanting, "I want a cat now! I want a cat now!" So that
We want a cat. When do we want it? Now. When do we want a cat? When do we want it? Now.
Close, yeah. Just in Janglish, yeah. Okay, hey everybody, we are on the Rise Up channel. It's a channel now? No, it's a Rise Up show where we talk about responsibility, integrity, service, and empathy in what? In action. And what I like to say, rising up out of our ignorance of what's going on in the world and the difference that we can make. And so we have everyone in the studio. We're on a roll, guys. We are all here. I'm just so grateful we're all here every time. We got Naria Gorder. Hello. Ricky DeSena. Iris Vojtovic.
Hello.
And let's get started. So we have Ricky with a story coming out of Haiti. So,
yep.
Let's hear it.
So, story for this week is what is going on in Haiti. So you might have heard this, or you might not have heard this, but Haiti is in a transitionary period in which the old president is supposed to, or allegedly supposed to be transitioning out, and they're supposed to be putting in a new president. The problem is the president they have now is in disagreement with that proposal, and is saying he still has 1 more year left in his term. If you don't know, Haiti is a 5-year presidential term, and he's saying he has 1 more year left. But the opposition party is saying, no, your term should have finished this year because of the transitional period in which there was an interim president, and that should have counted as your term. Basically, a whole bunch of conflict erupted from this, and you have basically 2 major gang groups in Haiti. You kind of like politically ally in Haiti, like the 2 biggest political parties, and they're basically on the street fighting almost every day because of this disagreement in which the president doesn't want to leave, saying he has 1 more year left, and the opposition party is saying, no, you're done, you need to go. And because of this rise in gang violence that resulted from the president refusing to leave, you've got a lot of issues in Haiti and displacements of thousands of people. There's reports of sexual violence, and yeah, there's just a lot of people suffering in Haiti right now. Just because, yeah, the gangs are they're going crazy, and they're just refusing to calm down and talk peacefully. And so yeah, that's the issue right now. From what I see, a lot of gang violence has resulted in a lot of displacement to a lot of people. And yeah, the United Nations is deeply concerned because of possible human rights violations that are occurring in the country at this moment. But yeah, it's basically TLDR, what's going on in Haiti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was reading the story and just hearing about the hundreds of homes and businesses being destroyed. And it just doesn't, some things don't really make sense to me. Like, I think in the article it didn't give a very clear reason. I'm assuming because it's more complex than just a sitting president not wanting to leave. So I don't know if there's any more you can speak about that. It just, I think so far a lot of these countries we've been hearing about are just very unstable. and from all the different power actors in the country. But so, I mean, is there anything more to say about why? Because it just doesn't make sense why so many civilians are being harmed by in the crossfire of this.
Yeah. So I'm obviously I looked into this a little bit more, and from what I understand, it's like you said, it's really complex. So in Haiti, it's basically divided into like two major ethnic groups, which are the mixed race Haitians and the black Haitians that came from slaves and just they're still mixing in that group. And so usually what happens is that the president is either of mixed race or if it's a full black race. And because of that, they usually represent the interest of one of those two major ethnic groups. It's a lot of from what I understand, a lot of the conflict comes from there.
I
It's
see.
this, division between ethnic lines. But some people also say that it's political nature as well.
I see. So yes, it's a political, ethno-social.
Yeah, but that's the thing like the ethnic and the political side of it is so intertwined. It's really hard to separate, I think.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Any thoughts, anybody? Or questions?
So, Haiti is right next to Dominican Republic, where you are, right, Ricky? It's like the other half of the island, and so I'm just wondering, how does this all affect those in the Dominican Republic? What are their thoughts on that, or did they not really get involved?
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because doing research for this, I was like, wow, this is like such a serious thing that's going on in Haiti. But like when you talk to a lot of Dominicans, and I don't want to speak for everyone, this is just like personal experience from what I've seen, is that like Dominicans are kind of like, oh, it happens. Like they're used to it because apparently it's been happening for years. It's been part of the history of Haiti where new president comes in and he doesn't want to leave, or there's conflict and with what he or she represents. And so yeah, most Dominicans I talk to are just like, you know, it happens. Like that's kind of just what happens over in Haiti. And don't really seem to think too much of it, which is interesting. It's like from my perspective, it seems like a pretty big deal.
Are there mixed groups in the DR as well? Like you had mentioned, in Haiti, they have like the mixed race group, and then also those who are full African. But do you also have that in Dominican Republic?
Yeah, of course. That this division here in Dominican Republic. It's not like as clear of a division as in Haiti, but you have like the upper class, rich, like European descendants, and then you have like the kind of like lower class, like either mixed or they come from Haiti, and so like they're more darker. So there's that division. I think it's mostly more like mestizo than like rich European descendants here. Uh, but it's not like a conflict where it's like they hate the European descendants. It's more like it's a clear like kind of divide. It's like the European descendants and the mestizos or mixed race.
Mm-hmm. I think most nations do have mixed different races, and yeah, if there's a way to keep things stable somehow. But yeah, Iris, anything you want to?
I'm just wondering if there have been any efforts to begin a discussion between the two racial groups, if not any sort of political action that's been taken by independent groups or whatnot to come to an understanding of each other, to come to a better place of coexistence and communication.
Yeah, I think there are. I'm sure there are. I don't know specifically which groups are participating in that. but yeah, I think such a deep-rooted issue in Haiti um, that I think a lot of the work that's being done, a lot of times gets kind of like, mm, what's the word? It's like,
Not so effective.
it's not that it's effective, but it kind of like makes progress up to a certain point, and then it kind of just like gets thrown out the window when like a new conflict comes out. Um, yeah, so I think there are definitely people there that are trying to make change, but I think a lot of the change that's being done in Haiti or the support that's being given to Haiti is a lot of it's like band-aid fixes. So like you get yeah, a lot of like organizations that are trying to send aid and trying to send things that kind of like help like on the surface level. From what I see, there's not a lot of organizations trying to deal with things at the kind of like baseline grassroots level.
Interesting.
Right.
That is my
Because
explanation.
it's such a progress is so fragile, and the problems have existed for a very long time.
Yeah. I believe Women's Federation, which is another organization founded by, Mother Moon. I think they're doing consistent work in Haiti, if I believe. I think they are.
Yeah, it'd be good to talk to them because
Yeah.
I'm sure they have a similar perspective. It's like they're doing a lot for the country, but then it feels like it's not enough because yeah, from what I've seen, it's like I think a good analogy is like there was an organization that built a university there, and during a period of political instability, the university, which is like super important to Haiti, got destroyed. And so you see that kind of thing happening a lot in Haiti, where it's like it's so hard to build proper like infrastructure to support Haiti like, as a whole in the long term because it's so unstable there.
Yeah, it's like we want to be able to put up buildings and do something that's easy, that's measurable, right, to support and maybe please your nonprofit's mission. But then it sounds like there's a lot of emotional, a lot of historical things that have not been reconciled, and it requires a very different approach that it's a little bit more difficult to do. Yeah. Which honestly, I think that's the root of all conflict is those kind of historical things that haven't been reconciled, but in any case. All right, well, to be continued, perhaps. Ricky's next door neighbor country over there.
Yeah.
Him in our thoughts and all his families who've been displaced and or injured. Let's go to Iris with maybe change the mood a little bit.
Well, thank you, Ricky, first off, for bringing these tough topics to us. I mean, they definitely deserve a platform to be spoken on, despite their weight, because it exists in the world, and it's unfortunate, but once addressed, we can begin the conversation to at least do something about it. So yeah, thank you for taking up that responsibility, Ricky, and for giving me the chance to bring the better news. And yes, good morning, everybody. So again, I have two stories for you today. They are both about selfless acts, as always, really. And again, the point being to do what you can, give what you can. So the first story I have comes to us from Florida. where a college student goes viral on TikTok after a bystander catches him giving belongings away to a homeless man. So the way the story goes is that Jabari Richardson, a Florida college student, was recorded by a stranger. Giving his belongings to a homeless person on the street. So the bystander was driving behind Jabari, and he saw Jabari step out of his car, open up the trunk of his vehicle, and give what was in his trunk to the homeless man on the corner who had a sign that said, "Anything helps and God bless." And basically what happened is that this bystander posted this video to TikTok, which is all the rage among our Generation Z right now, and said, "I don't know this young man, but he deserves to go viral because of the selfless act that he did." And this was posted last Friday, and since then it has gotten over 4 million views. Actually, since this article was posted 3 or 4 days ago, so it probably has a lot more now. And what Richardson said that was his motivation to give was, "My mom has always had clothes and shoes on my back, and I can definitely take that for granted, so anything can be gone in the blink of an eye. And as I was growing up, my mom always taught me there's a lot of people that are in need, so not everyone is as blessed as I am." And that's what encouraged him to give. He was also in the middle of moving at the time, and he was planning on selling those items in his trunk initially. They were actually really, really expensive things, like expensive shoes that I saw for a second in the video. I thought, wow, those are not easy to give away. But yeah, he just gave them selflessly because of this inspiration from his mom, this realization of how blessed he is and how much he wants to give back. So that was a really touching story. I'm sure it touched every single one of those 4+ million people that have viewed this video, and we're certainly grateful to this bystander for posting it and sharing the message of pass on the blessing that you have. So then that brings me to my next story, which comes to us from Massachusetts, where a graduation ceremony inspires Harvard-bound student to give her surprise $40,000 scholarship away. Now, I don't know about you, but I am a college student who is in dire need of funding for school and whatnot and supplies. Fashion school is expensive. You have to buy all of your own materials and everything, and it adds up. So when I first read this story, I was personally in disbelief that somebody would be as selfless to give away $40,000 worth of scholarship money for school away, and for Harvard no less. But this girl's story, Verda Tete, who had actually immigrated from Ghana with her family, says that her motivation for giving away the scholarship was because of the message that her principal gave after receiving it. Now, she was the valedictorian of her class and gave the message, give a speech to her class about resilience, how we've all been resilient during these past couple of years, and how some people have the odds stacked against them, like Verda, for example, who had immigrated from Ghana with her family and probably couldn't believe that she was on her way to Harvard at this point. But after giving this speech, she didn't know yet that she was going to receive the scholarship. And after giving the speech, her principal announced that she was one of 2 students in her year to receive this scholarship award. And along with that, receiving a message about selflessness and being bold from the principal. So upon hearing this message, she thought to herself that though she's very grateful for this award, not only has she received sufficient funding and other scholarships and awards from school, from Harvard and whatnot, but she felt that there were other people more deserving of this award. So in communication with her principal, she decided to give it away to her school community, and that the scholarship be split into multiple gifts over the next 4 years for students attending community college, and that each one of those students receiving the awards would get around $5,000 each. And she made this decision with the principals because of seeing how community college helped get her mom through school and start her road to higher education. And she was really inspired by that too, in terms of, directing where the scholarship money would go. So, in closing, she said, "You can make a change in every community because you know that the world is always improving. So keep an eye open for what you can do and then be bold and be courageous and work hard towards that change." So again, these two stories are about being the change, being selfless in whatever ways you can, whether that's giving clothes away to someone on the street corner or giving away $40,000 worth of scholarship money. Oh my goodness, how grateful I would be for that. But anyway, doing what you can to support the people in your community, to support strangers even, and knowing that that kindness goes a long way. I think that's the message that I give every week here. That's the message that we spread every week here on Rise Up. So yeah, be the change, be the peace, be the positivity. And yeah, thank you.
My goodness, this is so rich of these stories today, Iris. I mean, I confess that I have a love for money. I can feel like you're in your word, like you're reeling and like, oh my God, did she really do that? And at the same time, we also know how much joy it must bring to do that and just see the impact or not of the difference you've made. You know, we were in this peace designer seminar yesterday, and Naria here was presenting the peace perspective. And there's an exercise where we talk, you try to define the word good. And it's easy to like take that word and make it relative, but somehow, Father, Mother, Moon, they boil it down to one phrase. And that is, what is it, Naria?
My student, you need to go through that course again. It's living for
the sake. I'm joking. My goodness, what do you think? How dumb do you think I am? If I learned nothing, it would have been that. But living for the sake of others, and again, it's a lifestyle. I'm sure this is something that was instilled in her, in Verde from her parents, and it's like it's not about money. It's about something else, whether it's your time or finding meaning. I mean, that you're going to be much quicker to that path by living for others. So it is nice to have to be able to go to Harvard and have a scholarship, but it does require that hard. So I love the story, and I'd love to meet her. Actually, I think maybe we should reach out to her. That might be kind of cool. Get to know the real story. I'm sure there's so much more to be told behind the words on the article. But
that would be really cool, actually. Yeah. I mean, if our audience has a particular story they want to hear more about, we can do our best to reach out to the people in those stories. So, hey.
We could bring her on this show, maybe. Maybe she'll join us. I'm sure Nari can reach out to her. Yeah. But any other comments on Ricky or Nari?
Yeah, no, I really like that first story you shared about the young man giving his shoes and he had some clothes that I gave to the man on the corner. Yeah, and I thought it was really cool, especially because I don't know, growing up, I grew up in Argentina and then I came to the States. I always grew up with a disdain towards homeless people for some reason. I don't know. It's I was always told oh, they're just trying to take advantage of your kindness. They don't actually need anything. Because I know at least in Argentina, there's sometimes you get people that pose as homeless people, but they're just trying to take money from you. So yeah, I always had people warning me against doing that kind of stuff. I'm just gonna take your money and then run. But I don't know. Coming to the DR, one thing that I experienced that was super super cool, that inspired me to give more, was I don't know, just the culture here. It's they give pretty freely, even if it's just a little. If somebody asks for money, they need money, they'd be like, oh yeah, no, of course, I'll give you something. So I had an experience is it last week where me and Sue, my wife, we were at a ice cream place, and this older lady came in, and she had like this prescription paper in her hand. She's like going around asking people for money because she needed to buy her medicine. And the minute she walked in and she said that to someone, everybody in the ice cream shop came in and started like giving her money, like coins or like bills, like whatever they had to give. And like I don't know, it just amazed me so much because like you never experienced something like that. And like I think it's yeah, I think we need to make like concerted effort to like be aware of the struggles people are going through and to be more uh what's the word? Just giving, more empathetic towards people's struggles.
Yeah, I like the topic of homelessness is like super complex, and I was talking to my professor about it. He didn't just like study homelessness. He did an experiment by being homeless himself for weeks. I forget how long, and he was like documenting his whole like mental state, and like he could understand why people choose to be homeless in many cases. It's not just like, you know, just out of poverty, but there are homeless shelters and there's things like that, but people they choose that sometimes. And then he felt a little bit of freedom, but the overwhelming feeling he had was failure. Like this idea, like I am a failure and there's no hope to rise out of this. And so like knowing that, it I think empathy is everything. It's like it's also like if you're gonna give to someone, give with empathy, give with hope to this person, and it's not just a human being. This is like an amazing individual with true potential. You know, one time I met a guy in the subway. I don't know if he was homeless, but he kind of seemed homeless. And it's funny, I actually just prayed with him. And he ended up giving me, he called it his lucky nickel. And I could have said like, well, wait, you're the one I'm supposed to be giving to. But he honestly, like, he just felt he wanted to give it to me. And I had to like, just receive it with like two hands and like, wow, this is such like an honor. And I just felt like that's kind of what people need, you know? They don't always need the pity or the pity money, but like if you can give with empathy, I think it's 100%. It's a wonderful thing. And so that's my personal. Yeah, having working in the city, yeah, you definitely see a lot of homelessness. And how is important. That's how I see it. Like this person, caught on camera here. Yeah. Like, oh no, the shoes though. Iris, what about the shoes?
Yeah, versus Pokemon cards on the shoes.
I know.
I'm incredibly materialistic, so whenever I hear people giving away their personal, valuable belongings, I'm like, ugh.
Hey,
The
you need to
little
find
bit
this.
of me just like cringes. I'm like, God, help me be so selfless.
You need to find a story next week of someone giving out their house or something.
Oh my goodness. Gosh.
No, it should be like super sentimental, something like, I don't know.
Wedding ring.
A wedding ring? No.
No.
Not a wedding ring. But it's funny. I think even Mother Moon, right? There's a story of her giving away rings and things.
I think I read it in her autobiography.
Yeah.
She mentioned that when she and her husband were first married, like they were in a position, they were like totally full mission mode, and her husband regretted not ever getting her any kind of jewelry or a wedding ring or anything.
Oh.
So some years down the road, he eventually like got her a very nice ring, like the nice diamond in Europe or something. And what she ended up doing was giving it away to like members of her community who were really in need. And later her husband asked like, what happened to your ring? And she's like, I'm sorry, I gave it away. So
it's like, wow. Yeah, that's not the wedding ring. Anyway. All right. We're at the bottom of the hour.
I want to share a little bit too. So
Oh, go. I'm sorry. Yeah, please.
yeah, so I just wanted to.
You want.
Oh, I don't want to take too much time. We're already at 10:30, but just wanted to mention that I really enjoy Iris's stories that she shares because it actually gives you ideas or like a lot of examples of how you can really help other people. Because sometimes it doesn't cross your mind that like, oh, I could give items that might be in my trunk to someone that is in need, and like even giving away a scholarship and stuff. So and all your previous stories as well. Like those are, I feel like it's like a good list of things, like examples of like ways that we can contribute to our community and help a fellow human being. So yeah, just want to mention that.
Exactly. That's why we do this show. So you can do it too. You can. My topic today for the Hyojung Talk is appreciation. I'm going to take this in kind of a technical standpoint with very few examples, just straight up how I see, because you've heard this before. You've heard people say, "Oh, it's healthy. There's like health benefits," and they can dissect why that is. But here's my explanation. I'm gonna pull up a chart, share screen. This one. All right, here we go. Can you see this?
Oh, I gotta pull it up.
Oh, can you see my thing here? You see this? Oh, Ricky?
Yeah, I can see it.
You see it? Okay, good. So I came across this a few years ago, and maybe you know what this is. I forget the name of it. It's called like energy measurements. And you know how like within white light, there's like a different frequency or wavelengths that it has a different color, right? But ultimately, it's like the same kind of energy. So like your emotional state is kind of similar, where at lower energies, you kind of fall into these sort of measurements, which can be expressed like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and fear. As you move more into the neutral zone, there's like neutrality, willingness, courage, and at the top of that is like acceptance, which I like to relate to as gratitude. If you can be grateful for the things you have, then you're kind of in this, you jump into this sort of energy level. And then it gives you a chance to rise up into these sort of higher levels of energy: reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment. So, we're youth and students for peace. So like, we're trying to get you all up here. But I think what really helps is to express out loud your appreciations, which I believe will, if you're down here in the fear, or maybe you have desires or addictions, and because I know we all do, and it's not, it's a certain state that you're at. It's not wrong, but if you can find appreciation for something, you can kind of move up this energy, so you can spend more time in here. So, for example, like before I give a talk, sometimes you feel a little bit nervous or have different feelings, and sometimes that still comes through. But if I can remember to appreciate even the little things, and sometimes you feel so low that you can't even like think of one thing. But I'm telling you, like you can always, like you can even appreciate the air that you breathe. Or if you can look out your window and look at the trees and just say, wow, they're so beautiful today. Like even that alone can kind of move you right up the ladder into a kind of a higher energy level. And so my one example was, before this show, I always look for the cue sheet on my Google Drive. And I really appreciate Google, because this cue sheet, it pops up at the same time every week. And I thought, oh, maybe Naria opened it up and that's why it's kind of moved up to the top. But apparently Google knows that I open that document up at around this time every week. And they even said that. And so I'm like, wait, either that's a little bit creepy that they know that about me, but I was in a state of appreciation. So I was like almost in tears, being like, oh my God, thank you, Google, for like thinking of me and making my life just a little bit easier. And something as seemingly trivial as that can even bring you to that higher state of energy. So that's all I wanted to offer is appreciation. I guarantee, you do this every day, it'll just fill you right up. So I just want to offer that. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Wow. I really, really appreciate that message. Actually, I think it sort of affirms what I've been working on in myself this past week. Last week I actually had a scare where I like fainted for the first time ever in my life, and I had to be sent to the ER because I had no idea what this was triggered by. And I think it was just an overwhelm of just work and mental stress, physical stress, and all those kinds of things. So I've been really working on lately, not just regulating how much I work, how much I take in physically and stuff like that, and keeping up with my physical health and like sleep hygiene and stuff like that, but also my mental health. I realized that I am an incredibly anxious person, and it's very easy for me to start, fearing all sorts of different scenarios, like, oh, what if I stutter today during today's live stream, or I mess up the story, or I don't get enough work done for this internship that I have, and like my boss hates me or something like that. So I found that the way to sort of cure my anxiety in moments like those, or to at least reassure myself that things are okay, I ground myself in, what you're saying, like gratitude, or if not acceptance for the things that are going on. Like, okay, I accept the fact that that this internship is hard, or that I'm not doing so well with balancing my life yet. But that's the whole part of learning how to do that for yourself, and then becoming appreciative of that learning process, and that mistakes are okay. So going along this path of, accepting the realities of life for me, and then that calming down my sort of like all the voices in my head. Also bringing up my energy to that calm state that comes with accepting where you're at. So I really appreciate that message, Mohan. It says a lot, at least for me, just affirming like, I'm doing okay. I'm so far doing the right thing and not succumbing to the lower energies that are impeding on me. Hopefully more people are able to do that, I guess.
And what I also love about this chart and like what you're saying there, it's like it's okay when you're angry, or you're feeling guilty. Shame is at the very bottom. So when you're feeling shameful, what it means is that you just have a great, your bounce back will be that much more kind of joyful, because life will take you up and down that ladder. The key is like to not get so too much. Sometimes like we go in this enlightenment stage, and then we feel horrible when we drop down to acceptance. But it's like, no, actually it's healthy to kind of rise up and down, but maybe not too much in either direction. Like my wife, for example, if I'm like in an enlightened state for too long, she's kind of like, no, hon, come back to earth, and so because I can get really excited about vision, and then Naria is like, no, hon, we got a lot of stuff to do. So you kind of need to bring it back down a bit too. So it's about it's saying to yourself, it's okay to be angry sometimes. It's okay, and just know that it's just bringing it back to appreciation is kind of a neutral point, kind of like that grounding point. Like you said, acceptance. So it's but you can't just always just be flat either, So it's cool. I like I have that chart on my background for a little while, so decided to offer that. Sorry, we're going way over time here, so we can chat more later. Thank you. But Nari, any have you come up with any announcements? I know we didn't have any originally, but maybe you came up with something.
I I wanted to report and announce some things like what's going on internationally, but unfortunately I didn't prepare that. So, sorry guys, but hopefully next week I'll have some international stuff and activities that I'd like to share with you all.
Yeah, and and feel free to comment on the kind of stuff you'd like to hear. My question to you is, would you like to hear about what other YSP chapters are doing? Because there are a lot of exciting things happening that we could absolutely just let you know about. And we're even happy to partner with them and do some projects together. So if that's something that you're interested in, please just put a comment in chat and we'll get back to you. But any final statements from anyone or anything you need to get off your chest? Ricky?
Any statements, but we really should make the cat updates a thing. I think everybody likes cats. We like to see more cats involved in the stream.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So I think we need to really consider doing a cat love kind of campaign. We realize that we're like cat people here. Again, if you're a dog person, we love you too. Just so you know. So I'm just wondering if that's something you're interested in, let us know. If you like cats, if you think the world will benefit from seeing more cute cat, things like Ricky showed us a cat maze that someone in his family made. Was it your wife or?
Yeah, I was my wife.
Yeah, his wife made this amazing cat maze. That's good. That's good for the environment. That's good for our heart.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. I feel like if we get like 1,000 likes on our page or 1,000 likes on this video, Milhan should get his kids a cat.
Yes,
Wow.
we'll do that.
Can I make that promise? Why not? I mean,
Wait,
1,000 likes is pretty good. All right, you heard it, guys. If you get 1,000 likes on this video, then I will seriously research and discuss getting a cat. Okay. All right. Let's leave it at that, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Bye.